teams. Northern Iowa has a great, breakdown guard in Washburn and some solid shooters around him. Panthers have won 12 of the last 13 games. They've beaten Wichita twice in that period. Texas had some really good games, has played some really hard for Shaka Smart. Isaiah Taylor has been solid leader performer. Their ability to go off, they can. Texas has won 6 games against ranked opponents this season, tied for third most in the nation. Only Kansas with 9, Oklahoma with 7 have more such wins. Taylor is used on 28% of Texas's possessions. That's the second most in the Big 12, only behind Buddy Hield at 29%. Texas, will do what they can. Shaka Smart's been here before. They know the deal. The Big 12 as a whole was great. That doesn't mean, that they're going to win every game. We have that with Northern Iowa here. We talk about them beating North Carolina early. Just because it's a Big 12 team playing a non-conference team doesn't really mean that the Big 12 team's always going to come on top. This one is a coin flip game, if you ask me. The Panthers haven't always shown up, but they're peaking at the right time. They're good. They're a fun team to watch. They're a great team to root for. You look at, again, with Washburn. Obviously, he gets a lot of attention, and this Texas defense will focus on him. But his teammates can knock down the three-pointers, and he can dish it to him. He's good at it. Northern Iowa also plays solid defense. And let's face it, Texas isn't like this great offensive team. You're getting 4.5 with Northern Iowa here. Total pretty low at 120. But, coin flip game, you take the favorite, you can lose, and they can still win, obviously. I mean, this is 101 betting. You take the underdog, not only, they win, you win, and they lose, you can still win. I mean, I shouldn't even have to say that. But, yeah, Best Gambler talks about... good call. If Duke's up big in the last 10 minutes, they will isolate and run the clock down. Yeah, exactly, Best Gambler. And you talk about that total creeping up near 160. I mean, 160? Really? How many points is Wilmington going to score? It's crazy. They're going to get into the 70s? Duke won't get into the 90s. I trust you, me. They will not, just because they will shut shit down if they're up in the 80s with 5 minutes left. They just shut shit down. Trust you, me. They might take 2 or 3 shots. They'll take shot clock violations before they start running. But that's that. So next one, Texas A&M against Green Bay. Green Bay, only NCAA tournament team. The only win came in 94. They were a 12 seed. They defeated, I think it was Cal. Green Bay can score, averaging 85 points a game, 6th most in the nation, we all know, against some really bad defenses in that conference. Green Bay plays fast. They average close to 79 possessions per game. That's the 5th fastest in the country. They force 17 turnovers a game. That's the 4th most in the country. They get a steal on 13% of their opponent's possessions. That's the 7th highest steal rate in the country. A&M, an older, experienced team with solid defense at the end. 2 starters in Jones and House. Aggies, a very good passing team, averaging 66.5 assist percentage on their shots. That's one of the best in the nation. Got to be top 5. Jalen Jones leads the team scoring and rebounding. Green Bay here, they've played some bad defenses. They're going to have a wake-up call here against A&M. And, they're not going to get the looks they want. They're not going to get the turnovers they want. And they're in trouble. As far as covering the spread might be a little difficult. But, hey, Best Gambler says 74-51 Duke. Yeah, 74-61, sure. 74-61 Duke. I mean, you're still covering that by 20-something points. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Some of these lines are crazy. Next game, Oregon State at VCU. Oregon State can hit 3-point shots, man. The Beavers are not an efficient offensive team, though. The Beavers' best wins came against Oregon, Cal, Utah. all thanks to Gary Payton, who averaged better than 15, 7.5, and 5. He's one of the best. This is a great stat, and I hope I get it right. But he is ranked in the top 10 in the Pac-12 in rebounders, and he's the only player under 6'9", 6'9", on that list. VCU forces turnovers, scores off those turnovers. Melvin Johnson, he's hit over 100 3-point shots this year. VCU's a scary team to play, and I don't know if Oregon State has the offense to get shit done. It's not surprising the odds makers made VCU a popular team here, a popular pick. The favorite here at -3. There is some stats that say, when the lower seed VCU is favored, you take the higher seed in Oregon State. It hits at over 67%, but there is 33% when it doesn't hit. Obviously, the Beavers are expected to be without their best big man in Tinkle, the coach's son. However, I do think the line has to be bet higher for VCU's brand name. They're associated. This is a good point by Tully. VCU's brand name is always associated with upsets, and with a 10 seed sit, against a 7, it's a public play. So I think they had to make it -3. It's a good point by Tully. I think there'll be an upset here, but it's tough. I think that line gets higher. I think Tully also thinks, it probably goes up to 4.5, 5 points. VCU isn't the defensive force it was with Shaka Smart, was running things. With Tinkle out, Oregon State will rely heavy on guard lineup. VCU does the same. So, Tinkle down low shouldn't matter too much, at least in this game anyway. Gary Payton, we talked about him, be the best player on the court. We talked about his numbers. I think he was, two-time Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year. Wow, good for him. Sometimes you see, I'm a big fan of guard play. Obviously, everyone is now because it's the trendy thing to say. But I'm a fan of guards who can take over games. Peyton is one. I just don't know. This is another coin flip game. I don't know if he can take over this one, to be honest with you. Best Gambler chimes in with VCU shoots 69 in free throws. Yeah, that could hurt them. They need every point will count in this game. Oregon State is not good on the road. You're right. But, the thing with that stat, Pete, not to put it down because I agree with you. They're not good on the road. But show me a Pac-12 team in conference that was good on the road. There wasn't many. It was hard to win on the Pac-12. In the Pac-12. It's the toughest conference to win on the road because of travel. You're traveling up to Washington for 2 games. Traveling out to the mountains for 2 games. Down to Arizona. It's tough. But, yeah, even non-conference, they really weren't good. VCU money line in a parlay, Pete. Yeah, that's a good one. Peyton's only flaw is that he shoots 62%. I know, from the free throw line. You think Gary would have made him shoot more free throws when he was young. You would think that, right? I agree with you, man. Let's go on to the next one here. Oklahoma and Cal State Bakersfield. Really, I'll tell you this, all right? And I went through this game, and I'm sorry. Cal State Bakersfield, I get it. Their numbers against the spread are fantastic and everything like that. They won 3 Division II championships, 24 wins this season, the most since 97-98. Bakersfield's one of 7 teams in the tournament with 5 fit players averaging 10 points or over. Buddy Hield has 9 30-point games this year. Okay? They're going to run up and down all over these guys. It's not a good matchup for this Bakersfield team, honestly. It's just not. I think Oklahoma can get as many points as they want in this game. They could hit 90 as much as, and if you guys know, I don't like this Oklahoma team, but this is a great spot for them to have a great game, right? And everyone gets high on them and say, oh, look out for Oklahoma. They're going to make a run. And, they get the confidence going, and they get blown the fuck out, okay? But Bakersfield had some success. They're going to grind it out on you and, hope to beat you that way. But I don't see it happening. To be honest with you, and I'm going to give this one out too. And if you got it, you got it. Lay the fucking points with Oklahoma in this one, right? And then fucking watch them go out next round. I'll say that. We'll say that. That's it. So what we'll do, you know what I'm going to do? We'll go over this region today. We'll go over the East and West today. And then we'll go into the other two tomorrow because I can't do all of these. So we'll get into the next one here. East region, Carolina, Florida Gulf Coast, if they win, or who you might call it there, Fairleigh Dickinson, right? Carolina, best team in the country. There's some interesting things about this Carolina team, honestly. Tully talks about Carolina. Obviously has to wait for the Gulf seed. Well, blah, blah, blah. He'll offer his take later. But, the Tar Heels performed at the highest level. No one talks about their defense. Over the last 10 games, they're like the best defense. They average less than 1 point per possession on the defensive end. They don't let up. It's like .8 something. It's ridiculous numbers, like best in the nation type shit. By the way, bye-bye Chandler Jones. Go smoke your weed in Arizona. We'll take the Arizona pick and the offensive lineman. See you later, bud. He'll have a lot of success down in Arizona, though. North Carolina, like I said, especially, on the defensive end, the Tar Heels defend at the level for the next 3 weeks that they were. They have a good chance of cutting down the nets. Carolina, top-ranked BPI. You look at Bryce Johnson, 19 double-doubles. That's third most behind Simmons and Josh Hawkins for Washington State. Josh Hawkins, what a fucking garbage season for Washington State. Garbage stats. They'll be all right, though. The writing's on the wall for this one, guys, really. USC Providence, this is a good one. Before we get into that, best game was Bakersfield holding opponents 39.1% shooting and 63.2% per game. Yep, both rank in the top 15 nationally. I was going to get into that. Yes, they have great defense against these teams that they're playing, right? Like you said, some of the best in the country. I get that. Let's look at non-conference before they started playing, these teams like Chicago State and Missouri KC, Seattle, Riverside, Morgan State. Let's talk about when they played some better teams. St. Mary's. St. Mary's dropped 94 on them, okay? Let's see. Who else? Fresno State dropped 76 on them. Arizona State dropped 75 on them. They can be gone. I'm trying to find like a half-decent team that they held. They held Idaho to 67. They lost to Wyoming. Wyoming dropped 68 on them. South Dakota, they beat South Dakota 77-67. But, come on. The teams they play, they better have some fucking good defensive stats. But I get what you're saying. They do play a decent defense. And some people might want to take the points looking at the numbers and looking at the runs and not liking Oklahoma's offensive efficiency lately and the fact that they sort of fell off. Well, Kansas is in the same boat. Kansas is putting up numbers that Oklahoma was earlier in the year. Just the difference is, the means hasn't come around on that Kansas team as far as shooting, and it could happen in the tournament, which would be bad for them. But getting into Providence, -2.5 against USC. USC, Providence is the rightful favorite, obviously. 8-9 matchup is another one where the higher seeds favored, the lower seeds favored, however you want to say it. The number 9 seeds favored over the 8 seed. Friars probably. They are happy to get out of the Big East, let me tell you. You get, I mentioned it earlier, Bentel and Dunn. You got teams that are playing over and over again. Obviously, they get used to how they play. And you got to remember, Bentel was hurt with an ankle injury. He played through it, guys, but honestly, and trust me, I'm a big East follower. Bentel wasn't right for about a month and a half with that ankle. He couldn't rebound the ball. Sure, he was getting his points, but he couldn't be the dominant force that he was. And they were doubling down on Dunn when they seen that, and, things just weren't working right. But, I think the best inside out, like, small man, big man, combo in the entire country. Both these guys going pro. You get done penetrating, either getting to the rim or dishing off the bental.